Welcome to Midwest Sagacity. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Midwest Savage, and we're going to get into an issue that happened over the weekend that I believe is going to trend on into the summertime and beyond, especially with the way the current economic situation is and how it's more than likely only going to get worse. Also, with the current divide between the left and the right, things are just getting heated up. And what happened, you ask? Well, over the course of 2 days, there were riots in Chicago. Now, why were there riots? As of right now, there are no answers. It wasn't a Black Lives Matter issue. There was no protest, in fact. It wasn't the fact that a white man or woman did something to the black community or a person of the black community and got away with it. It wasn't a cop that shot anyone that was armed or unarmed. It was none of that. What happened? Well, no one knows. But I believe I have an answer. Some of you aren't going to like it. But I believe I'm right on this one. Let's get into it.
At least 6 shots from inside the building.
I mean, what do we got to do?
Parties are running out.
What is it that we can say to get people to wake up?
I'd like to begin today by updating you on our efforts to recover the debris. China has a high-altitude balloon program for intelligence. The president also instructed the intelligence community to take a broad look at the phenomenon of unidentified aerial objects.
FEMA is now sending a team to East Palestine, Ohio, and this comes more than 2 weeks after the train derailment threatened the
Reminds me of stuff that just happens at work. Just one person after another not doing their damn job, and everything would be okay if everyone just did their damn job. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave my opinion until the end of the video as to why I think this happened. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like the content and hit that notification bell. That really helps the channel out. They don't like channels like this, so they tend to suppress them a little bit. So I'd really appreciate it if you could guys hit that thumbs up. Also, don't forget to comment. Right now, I'm a small enough channel. I get to respond to all of you, and I do. So make sure you guys drop some comments. I'd love to have a discussion with you, and I'd love to hear from you. If I'm wrong, go ahead and let me know down below. Now, what we're going to do first is take a look at some of the activities that were going on during the riots, as well as what the leaders in Chicago are saying about the riots and the rioters. Let's just see if they have any grip whatsoever on reality. My hopes are not high. So let's go ahead and just get into it. We're going to first take a look at this Fox 32 news report that came out yesterday, a day after the riots. And they have an interview with a Chicago alderman. I don't know what the hell that is. If someone down below can leave a comment and let me know what the hell a alderman does, I'd really appreciate it. It just sounds like another one of those government BS titles. More taxpayer money being taken away. So if someone could let me know, I'd appreciate it. Help me out.
Okay, so back here at home, these videos of teens misbehaving in downtown Chicago, it's making national headlines.
Yeah, and it has everyone asking the question, what can be done about it? Tia Ewing's in Studio 32 with a guest to dive into this topic. Tia?
Anthony and Natalie, hopefully we can get some solutions. Joining me now.
Yeah, and a lot of these news reports, I can't even get 20 seconds into it before I had to stop. They're asking for solutions. Well, the problem with society right now is that we've become reactionary. We don't care about anything that's going on in the world. We're all in our own little world until something actually happens. When the fact of the matter is, there were preventative measures that were in place that have now been taken away to allow something like this to happen. And we'll get into what that means a little bit later on. But let's go ahead and dig a little further into this video.
Now is Alderman of the 29th Ward and former Chicago police officer Chris Taliaferro. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Ms. June. I appreciate it.
Now, we know that you are on the Public Safety Committee. What is the first thing you're going to do in terms of addressing that video that we just saw?
Well, I think it's important for us as a city council to sit down and discuss how our officers will be deployed this summer. But more important, how can we as a city engage our young men and young women throughout the city to make sure that they are engaged in safe practices this summer and safe activities.
See, I don't think it's a matter of leaders and council members, governors, or mayors engaging with people that helps prevent people from doing things. I said this in my first video. It all starts in the home. That's where it starts. So for someone, you know, these news reporters, they're asking the same question that a lot of normal people sitting at their home watching this are asking, when all they have to do is look in the damn mirror.
Providing a safe environment for them, and also how the city can better invest in jobs for our young men and women.
Alderman, ideally, this is obviously something that we got to get in front of right away. The summer's right around the corner. There's days that we're having warm weekends. What measures can actually be put in place now? Not something that can be put in place down the road, but right now to address this issue.
Well, I think it's very critical that first of all, to ensure that our residents that live downtown and our business owners that are serving the city located downtown, we have to make sure that it's safe. And I think we need to step up our police presence to ensure that we do have an adequate amount of police present on the scene to try to prevent large groups from gathering.
How are you going to do that when you're demonizing the police and putting out there on national news every time the police do their job and try to take a criminal off the street and they resist or shoot at the cops, reach into their pockets when they're not supposed to, told not to, not following police orders or anything like that, on top of bad police training? It is a matter of time before all of this comes to a head, and you can see it starting right here. Putting more police on the streets. I thought you guys were all against that. I thought you wanted less police presence. I mean, you were dogging the police so bad they stopped responding to calls. So now you need police? Probably because you see that your policies are bringing about something that you can't control or stop.
And but I can't stress enough the importance of providing opportunities for our young adults so they don't have to go downtown in mass groups and create the violence that they did over this past weekend.
Now, before you were on the city council, you were a police sergeant. What resources does actually the Chicago Police Department offer in terms of helping our youth in the city of Chicago?
Well, I think it's more so not with the Chicago Police Department.
Yeah, what are they supposed to do? That's not in their job description. I mean, they can engage within their community, but when they've been demonized so bad within their community, why would they do that? Why would they go into a neighborhood where they're likely to just get killed or shot simply for being a cop?
Sole practices for law enforcement, but the city. We have already started our application process for One Summer Chicago, whereby the city will be hiring over 20,000, almost 21,000 youth over the summer. We have several activities that are where our youth can currently engage in at youth centers throughout the city as well. So it's going to be very important to get those young men and women engaged in activities that are safe.
And unfortunately, none of that's going to help whatsoever. And I'll go over the reason later as to why that is, because it has nothing to do with engagement. It has nothing to do with whether they have a job or not.
I've had an opportunity to speak with Mayor-elect Johnson's team, and they're very much committed to ensure that our young adults have a safe place where they can actually gather in the summer.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about safe spaces. I mean, gathering people, period, not a good idea. There's always that mob mentality. And so you create these spaces for teenagers is no different than them hanging out downtown. I mean, there's literally no difference. They'll just be doing those activities in those spaces.
And providing jobs, investing in jobs for our young men and women as well.
You mentioned Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson, so let's stay right there. He actually said in response to all of this, it is not constructive to demonize youth who have otherwise been starved of opportunities. Do you agree with that statement?
I agree with Mayor Johnson.
And the problem with them starving the youth of opportunities is their direct policies. When you fight for raising a minimum wage and things like that, it doesn't affect the older generation. It affects the younger generation, because now it makes the jobs that used to be for young adults between the ages of 14 and 18, they now are not worth the money that minimum wage requires, because they have zero experience. So companies would rather hire people of the older generation that have experience to do those jobs. And they have no problem finding people that'll take those jobs. And unfortunately, that takes it away from the younger generation. How many businesses have you been in that hires a 14 through 18-year-old? I haven't seen many for several years now. It's been mainly taken up by what I would consider, like, people that have either had drug addictions or gotten out of jail or lost a job and needed a job really fast, or found themselves in a desperate situation that take those jobs. There's plenty of those people, especially with the way everything's been over the last 10 to 14, 15 years.
Mayor-elect Johnson, I don't want our young men and women to be demonized because of this past week's activity. But if we can provide opportunities for them, many of them, and I'm not going to say all of them, but many of them will choose to do what's right and engage in activities that are much safer for themselves and for the residents of this city.
And I call bullshit. I'm going to straight up say I call bullshit. They're going to take your job, they're going to take your money, and they're going to use it to go buy themselves some nice shoes, nice clothes, and still go down there and do this shit. Why? Because there's no consequences, because it ain't like you're going to find out that they were down there or anything unless they specifically get arrested. But the chances of that are pretty damn low with your policies, as well as being in a crowd of 400 to 1,000 people, for them to get picked out of the crowd for doing the same thing everyone else around them's doing is highly unlikely. So, and they know this. Kids are not dumb. We've actually taught them to be pretty smart, but not smart in the right way. We've eliminated wisdom. We've taught them to be smart, but we haven't given them any wisdom to wield that intelligence, unfortunately. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some footage that was taken down there in Chicago. You know what's crazy about that charger right there? You're literally coming down to flex on some teenage girls. Yeesh. That right there is bad enough. Yeah, you got adult males down there flexing, because you know damn well, unless somebody's rich daddy bought them a charger, that was not a teenager driving that, and so they willingly went down there and flexed on some teenagers. Disgusting. Here's another video of some of the stuff they were doing down there. Now, why is that girl doing that? Dancing on the car because she thinks it's funny? No, she's shaking her ass for all these guys that are down there. Whose fucking daughter is that? Basically letting everyone know it's available. Come get it. Absolutely disgusting behavior. And here this guy goes and gets on top of an infinity. For what reason? To look cool. I think you see in this video, he doesn't even do anything. He doesn't say anything, doesn't dance. He just gets up there and just walks around on the hood or on top of the roof. All right, here's some more craziness that was going on down there, and I can't believe someone did get hurt, shot right here, or ran over, because I don't know what I'd be doing if somebody kicked my car. Like, wow. You can see like that Cadillac right there. He didn't want his car touched. Oh, he's hitting that gas. If somebody would have stepped up in front of him. There go another dude that wasn't playing. Yeah, he would have straight ran someone over. I don't know about you guys, but it sure did look like there was more than 400 people that were all around there. It looked like a lot more than what they were portraying this as. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this next video of what some of the leaders are saying about what happened over the weekend.
Chicago leaders are vowing to do more to protect the community after large crowds wreaked havoc across the Loop over the weekend.
Nate Rogers is live with that story for us first at 4. Nate?
Yeah, that's right. I'm Anthony and Natalie. City leaders have been speaking about this all day long following this unruly behavior by large groups of teenagers over the weekend. First, I want you to listen in to an interview with Mayor Lori Lightfoot on her reaction to this situation.
The vast majority of the young people who came downtown because it was a great weather and an opportunity to enjoy the city. That's absolutely entirely appropriate. There are a few that came with different intentions, and they have and they will be dealt with.
I don't know about you guys, but it sure did look like more than a few came with some ill intentions. There was a lot of people doing stuff they weren't supposed to be doing. It wasn't just a few.
But I'm not going to use your language, which I think is wrong, to say there's mayhem.
No, Now, although Mayor Lightfoot disagrees with this description, this was indeed the mayhem experienced over the weekend. Hundreds of teenagers at 31st Street Beach, reports of fights breaking out. Also, someone throwing a brick through a parked city vehicle. Then along Michigan Avenue outside the iconic Millennium Park Saturday, even more chaos. Young people jumping and dancing on cars, also on CTA platforms, smashing windows. In fact, 2 teens were shot in the first block of East Washington Street. Also, a man in his 40s was allegedly attacked by a group of teens. Now, just a short time ago, we sat down with 20th Ward Alderman Jeanette Taylor looking.
I mean, not only were they not peacefully gathering, they were beating people up. A couple people got shot, and they had to deploy tear gas and smoke in some situations, which dispersed the crowd, and then they came all back together, throwing bricks through windows, dancing on top of cars. Most of them teenagers, by the way.
At some of the footage from this weekend, listening to her reaction. How do you justify something like this?
You don't. I don't justify this behavior. But think about
anything that you said before you said the word but means you didn't mean it at all. I mean, that's the old rule, right? You can't say, I don't justify it, but, and then she goes on to justify it.
about this. Would they be downtown if they had things in their own community? Had we passed the peace book like young people asked us to, stuff like this wouldn't happen.
Absolutely not true. Stuff like this happened because teens gathered, and that's going to happen whether they have a job, whether they have activities after school, or whether or not you're a good or bad parent. Groups of teens getting together happens. It's not due to the access or lack thereof. You're going to tell me you don't have any community centers in Chicago? I know that's a lie. You don't have nothing for kids. No, the fact of the matter is that, the kids are going to get together. The problem is them acting this way when they get together. That's the bigger problem. And, you're going to sit here and try to blame community leaders for not providing stuff for them to do. Why is there not one mention of the damn parents in this situation?
Absolutely, you should be held accountable for doing things like that. But they would not be in these spaces if we provided them. We told y'all this was going to happen 15, 20 years ago. This is what happens when you close schools. This is what happens when you take away after-school programs. This is what happens when you don't invest in them on the front end.
Now, at last check, that 16 and 17-year-olds that were shot over the weekend were listed in fair condition. Also, Chicago police said they made a number of arrests, 15 to be exact, 9 adults as well as 6 juveniles. We're live on the city's south side. Nate Rogers, Fox 32, Chicago.
Chicago leaders are
2 kids were killed, and there was 9 adults arrested. 9 adults were down there hanging out with 16 and 17-year-olds. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about that. Here's some more on some of the violence that was going on down there, as well as what the new mayor-elect was saying about what happened this weekend. So Chicago's mayor-elect said the city should not demonize the people who rampaged the Loop over the weekend. Wow. And here we got Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson condemned the violence before claiming it wasn't constructive to vilify the rioters who've been starved of opportunities. Just clueless, really just clueless. Some online wanted a more aggressive response from the new mayor. Exactly. These are some of the comments. Now, don't think this was just happening in Chicago either. Let's take a look at what was going on down in Compton.
Number 7! Hundreds of people storm an Arco gas station in Compton, stealing thousands of dollars in merchandise while a sideshow blocks a nearby intersection. KTLA's Carlos Salcedo live in Paramount tonight, where another looting happened just an hour before. Carlos.
That's right. A 7-Eleven here in Paramount was raided by a mob following a street takeover. The owner tells me he's now out thousands of dollars. Tonight, officials are also investigating another raid, this one happening in Compton. A mob swarms the Arco gas station on Alondra and Central in Compton after a vandal breaks open a door. Then, it's a free-for-all. You see some looters with their faces covered, others not even bothering concealing their identity as they ransack the store. They grab everything from booze to condoms, what some would consider essential items. This happened around 2:30 Sunday morning. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says thousands of dollars worth of merchandise was stolen. Deputies say the mob was part of a crowd that had gathered for a street takeover. The scene has become far too common.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. This wasn't even for any kind of protest whatsoever. These young cats are getting out here, gathering up, and doing this for absolutely zero reason. Why? Part of it's because nothing happened, when the protest happened and people were rioting. That's part of it.
This was one of at least 3 street takeovers in Compton overnight. Concerned residents say parents are bringing their little ones to watch.
And there you go. There you go. Parents are bringing their kids to a street takeover where criminal activity is happening. It's an unlawful assembly. You have the right to protest. You don't have the right to take over a street. Zero right to do anything like that. I can't even imagine living in these areas where this happened. You'd have to be scared out of your damn mind.
And they had the kids did the door open and say, "Yay, daddy, dude, I want to do it. Not safe." And they have babies doing that, not safe.
Investigators say shots were fired about a block away from where the looting took place, but
like I said, the parents.
Nobody was injured.
It does piss me off a lot because why would you do that?
An hour before, this was a scene in Paramount. A bunch of youngsters raid the inside of this 7-Eleven on Lakewood and Somerset, the site of another street takeover. The place left trashed. It's unclear if it was the same group of looters that vandalized a Compton store only 8 miles away.
I've been knowing these employees for the longest, and I feel bad for them. Like, I really do.
And then you get mad when this happens.
Mark Kate, good morning. An abrupt closing for these 4 Walmart stores, really just about 5 days after these communities found out about Walmart's departure. Now, the residents are, of course, frustrated with the loss of this store, and already having been a food desert, they claim. They plan to voice those frustrations in a rally here later today. Walmart says it just hasn't been profitable in these neighborhoods, claiming to lose tens of millions of dollars over the years. Now, the concern for many, like you said, Mark, comes with another pharmacy leaving, some healthy food options, as Walmart being a key option for those options. Now, residents say they just feel left out.
I would like this area to look no different than other areas that I visit. There's Mariano's, there's Whole Foods, there's Target, Walmart's. What's so different about this neighborhood? We pay taxes as well.
People feel abandoned, right? I mean, where are the healthy eating options in the neighborhood? Y'all want us to continue to go to.
It just blows my mind. It's your kids out there stealing shit. It's some of your people in your community stealing shit. Why would they stay? You can't be mad at Walmart for leaving. Seriously, when you got things like this happening.
Surveillance video of the shoplifting spree at the Whitehaven Walmart tonight. We told you about the 22 people who raced into the business there and started grabbing items from the store, from TV sets to car batteries to Black Panther scooters. The incident happened Sunday at the business on Elvis Presley. Police say they got away with more than $7,700 in goods and then sped away in at least 20 different cars. If you know anything about the incident, call Crime Stoppers.
All right. So we're to the point in the video where I'm going to tell you why I think this is going on and whose fault it is. And I don't want to hear nothing because the studies are out and they prove that single mother homes are more than likely to develop this type of behavior. Secondly, you want to know what the main reason why these kids are doing this? Well, if you're between the ages of 20 and 40, it's your fault. You taught them this. By going out and doing this exact same thing. Now you justify in your head that you had a reason to do so, standing up for justice in Ferguson, Baltimore, Minnesota, St. Louis, California, in LA, and other places. You justified in your head that it was your duty to go out there and protest, which always turned into a riot, and you destroyed millions and millions of dollars of property. In fact, today, there's another one in Pittsburgh going on right now. You taught your kids that they can go out and do that and have no consequences. Do you think a kid needs a reason to do what they see their parents doing? No, the parents might have a reason for doing what they do, but the kids just do it because their parents do. They saw you do this, saw no consequences. That's why they're doing it. They don't have to have a reason. There literally was not one reason they did this. Not to mention, it's all their parents' fault. You can't tell me that. You know how this was set up? Social media. Not one of their parents were monitoring their social media. And if they were and they allowed them to do this, that's even worse. That says something about them. It's time for sure to wake up and get some hard truth. It's your fault. You taught them this. Now you created a monster. Because this happened all around the country, not just in Chicago, happened out there in Compton, as we saw. It happened in another place in Illinois, and I think there was a few other places. Just got together on social media, put together these groups. You know, when I was younger, we used to go out down to what we call the Loop in my hometown, but you didn't see none of this going on. You didn't see people going around bashing and destroying cars or businesses whatsoever. We went down there to hang out and meet people and have a good time. This type of behavior wasn't allowed. It wasn't even shown to us. You taught them this by going out and protesting and rioting and burning buildings, cars, etc. You taught them to behave like this. And still, all these community leaders aren't blaming anybody who does the actual crimes. They're blaming the lack of opportunities. Well, guess what? You guys had control of that city for I don't know how long. It's your fault they don't have those opportunities, and you'll never give it to them. You'll never give it to them because you'll never have enough money, because it will never be enough. It all starts at home. You get mad when they close schools down. Well, they got to close the schools down because your kids keep getting in fights. And there's so many kids getting in fights, it's just not even worth having the school there. It's too dangerous. You guys taught them that it's okay to express yourself even through violence and destruction, which that's never been the case in the history of America or even most countries. And you guys are teaching them that it's okay. Don't demonize them for what they do. They just don't have anything to do. Well, if that's the case, you took it away from them. You've had control of that city for I don't know how long. It's your fault. Your community leaders, and it's your fault for voting for those people. It's your fault for rioting and showing them that it's okay, because teenagers, they don't need a reason. They're just going to do what their parents do. Some hard truth. And you guys need to start looking in the mirror and realize, and I'm talking to the people who are out there also doing the same thing in the name of justice. You need to look in the mirror. Lord help us. What's going to happen when these banks collapse even further and the economic situation gets even worse this year? On top of they're just doing this for no reason anyway. What's going to happen? How many people are going to get killed? You guys are literally getting your kids killed by showing them that it's okay to riot and destroy. You know, what's it going to take for parents to realize that the actions that they take have direct consequences, as well as put an impression on young people's minds and how they should act in society? Sadly, all it takes is all you got, and you got to start giving it to them. Peace.